the Indiana Fever had just gone through another frustrating loss. Social media was already flooded with debates about the team's performance, questions about chemistry, expectations around Caitlin Clark, and the pressure surrounding one of the most talked about rookie classes in recent basketball history. But then, another moment suddenly grabbed attention online, not from the court, but from a concert crowd. Caitlin Clark appearing at a Wallen concert after the Fever defeat sparked a wave of mixed reactions across social media. Some fans defended her immediately, saying athletes deserve personal time and a chance to decompress. Others questioned the timing, arguing that public perception changes when a superstar player is seen enjoying a night out shortly after a tough loss. And what makes this conversation more interesting is that it's not really just about one concert appearance. It's about expectations. It's about celebrity culture in sports. And it's about the impossible spotlight that now follows Caitlin Clark everywhere she goes. Because whether people support her or criticize her, one thing has become impossible to ignore. Every public appearance involving Caitlin Clark now turns into a national conversation. Over the past year, Caitlin Clark has become more than just a basketball player. She has become a central figure in the larger discussion surrounding women's basketball growth, sports media attention, fan culture, and even how athletes are expected to behave off the court. According to recent discussions online, the Wallen concert appearance became a trending topic almost immediately after photos and videos circulated on social media. Fans recognized Clark at the event, and reactions split into multiple directions almost instantly. Some people saw absolutely nothing wrong with it. Their argument was simple: athletes are human beings. A single loss does not mean players must disappear from public life, avoid entertainment, or spend every hour isolated in frustration. Supporters pointed out that professional athletes routinely attend concerts, events, and public gatherings during the season. In their view, Clark simply went out to enjoy herself during personal time. Others, however, viewed the situation differently. Some critics argued that optics matter, especially for a player who is now one of the biggest faces in professional basketball. Reports suggest a portion of fans felt the timing created an awkward perception, particularly because the Fever had recently struggled in games where expectations remained extremely high. And this is where the conversation becomes more complicated than a simple right or wrong debate. When athletes become stars at the level Caitlin Clark has reached, normal activities often stop being treated as normal. Every action becomes symbolic. Every appearance becomes interpreted through the emotional lens of wins and losses. If the team wins, fans might see the concert appearance as evidence of confidence and balance. If the team loses, the exact same appearance suddenly becomes controversial. That double standard is something many high-profile athletes across sports have experienced for decades. We've seen similar reactions involving NBA stars, NFL quarterbacks, soccer players, and Olympic athletes. The bigger the celebrity becomes, the more public expectations expand beyond performance alone. Fans began analyzing body language, interviews, social media activity, friendships, endorsements, and personal outings. And in Caitlin Clark's case, that spotlight may be even more intense because of how rapidly her fame exploded. Just a short time ago, Clark was dominating headlines in college basketball, breaking scoring records, filling arenas, and helping drive historic television ratings. The transition into the WNBA brought unprecedented attention to the league. Ticket sales surged. National broadcasts drew massive audiences. Discussions around women's basketball entered mainstream sports conversations at a level many analysts had never seen before. With that attention came pressure. A lot of pressure. And sometimes, public reactions to moments like this reveal more about fan expectations than the athlete herself. One of the key points supporters continue bringing up is mental balance. Professional sports seasons are emotionally exhausting. Players deal with constant travel, media scrutiny, physical fatigue, criticism online, and non-stop pressure to perform. According to many sports psychologists and former athletes, maintaining some level of personal life and emotional release is considered important for long-term performance and mental health. Concerts, dinners, vacations, hobbies, and time with friends often become part of how athletes decompress during demanding seasons. That perspective led many fans to defend Clark strongly online. Some argued that expecting athletes to appear miserable after every defeat creates unrealistic standards. Others noted that fans often praise male athletes for showing confidence or continuing normal life after losses, while female athletes sometimes face harsher judgment for similar behavior. That particular angle added another layer to the conversation. Reports suggest some discussions online evolved into broader debates about gender expectations in sports coverage. Some fans questioned whether a young male superstar attending a concert after a loss would have generated the same level of criticism. It's a fair question. Sports media history shows that public reactions are not always applied equally. Female athletes have often been analyzed differently regarding personality, emotion, appearance, and behavior outside competition. At the same time, some critics insisted the issue had nothing to do with gender and everything to do with leadership optics. From that perspective, certain fans believe franchise stars naturally carry greater responsibility for public image during difficult stretches. And again, this is where nuance matters. There's a difference between discussing perception and attacking someone personally. Most balanced conversations around this topic recognize that distinction. Because based on available reports and public information, there is no indication Clark violated team rules, acted irresponsibly, or created any actual controversy beyond online debate itself. The discussion largely revolves around interpretation and expectation. But in today's sports environment, perception itself often becomes part of the story. Especially when social media accelerates every moment into a viral discussion within minutes. One video clip can suddenly dominate sports discourse for an entire day. One image can trigger thousands of comments, reactions, and arguments. And for athletes like Caitlin Clark, that reality may now be permanent. Another important factor here is the unique relationship between Clark and her fanbase. Her popularity stretches far beyond traditional WNBA audiences. Many supporters followed her from college basketball and remain emotionally invested in her professional transition. That emotional investment creates incredibly passionate support, but it also creates heightened scrutiny. Fans celebrating every success may also react strongly to every perceived mistake, disappointment, or controversial moment. This is common with superstar athletes across all sports. The more emotionally connected fans become, the more intensely they interpret every public action. LeBron James experienced this early in his NBA career. Tom Brady dealt with it in the NFL. Serena Williams faced it throughout tennis. And while Caitlin Clark's career is still developing, the scale of attention surrounding her already resembles the early celebrity phases of some of sports' biggest names. Another interesting part of this discussion involves the role of modern sports media itself. In previous eras, an athlete attending a concert after a loss might not even become national news. Today, however, sports coverage extends far beyond games and statistics. Entertainment culture, celebrity culture, and sports culture now overlap constantly. Athletes are no longer just athletes. They are brands, public figures, internet personalities, content generators. Every appearance can become a headline because audiences consume sports differently now. Fans follow athletes through TikTok clips, Instagram stories, podcasts, interviews, live streams, and viral photos. The line between sports news and celebrity news has become increasingly blurred. That shift creates a difficult balance for players. If athletes remain private and distant, fans sometimes criticize them for lacking personality. If athletes show personality publicly, every moment becomes open to analysis. It's almost impossible to fully win that equation. And Caitlin Clark may currently be experiencing that reality in real time. What's also fascinating is how divided the reactions were, even among Fever fans themselves. Some supporters argued that the team's struggles require perspective. The Fever are still developing chemistry, adjusting to professional competition, and integrating young talent into a demanding league environment. From that viewpoint, one concert appearance has little connection to on-court execution. Others believe franchise players inevitably become symbols during difficult stretches. When losses happen repeatedly, every public moment gets interpreted emotionally by frustrated fans searching for accountability. Neither perspective is entirely irrational. That's why this story generated such strong engagement online, because it touched on bigger questions without having a simple answer. What do fans expect emotionally from athletes after losses? How much personal freedom should public figures have without criticism? Does celebrity status change responsibility? And how should athletes navigate nonstop social media attention? Those questions extend far beyond Caitlin Clark. But because Clark currently sits at the center of women's basketball attention, discussions surrounding her often become amplified dramatically. Another layer worth mentioning is the Morgan Wallen aspect itself. Morgan Wallen remains one of the most commercially successful country music artists in the United States, but he has also faced significant public controversy in past years. Because of that history, some online reactions reportedly focused not only on Clark attending a concert, but specifically on the artist involved. However, opinions there were also divided. Some fans argued attending a concert does not automatically imply endorsement of every controversy surrounding an artist. Others felt public figures naturally face scrutiny regarding associations and appearances. Again, the conversation expanded beyond basketball itself. And that expansion reveals how celebrity culture now impacts athletes in ways previous generations rarely experienced to this degree. For younger athletes entering professional sports today, managing public image has become almost as constant as managing competition. Every appearance can trend. Every interaction can become content. Every decision can trigger debate. That environment creates enormous pressure, especially for athletes still adapting to professional life. According to many analysts, Caitlin Clark's rookie transition has already carried historic expectations. She entered the league with unprecedented media attention, enormous fan anticipation, and constant national discussion surrounding ratings, physical play, popularity, and league dynamics. In many ways, she entered the WNBA under conditions few rookies in sports history have experienced. That doesn't mean she should avoid criticism entirely. Public figures naturally receive analysis and debate. But it does help explain why relatively ordinary moments can suddenly become major sports conversations. Because right now, Caitlin Clark is not operating in a normal sports environment. She exists inside a constant media spotlight. And sometimes, even small moments become symbolic battlegrounds for larger conversations surrounding fandom, expectations, and athlete behavior. Some observers also pointed out an important basketball reality. Athletes often process losses differently than fans expect. To fans, a defeat can feel emotionally overwhelming for days. For professional players, however, sports schedules move quickly. Teams often play multiple games per week, travel constantly, review film, practice, recover physically, and immediately prepare for the next opponent. Veteran athletes across sports frequently talk about the importance of emotional reset. Dwelling excessively on losses can sometimes hurt performance more than help it. That context led some commentators to suggest the public may occasionally misunderstand how professional athletes mentally manage competition. At the same time, Critics maintain that perception always matters when representing a franchise and league publicly. And honestly, both realities can coexist. An athlete can deserve personal freedom, while also understanding public reactions are inevitable at superstar status. That tension may simply become part of Caitlin Clark's career moving forward. What makes this especially interesting is how early these discussions are happening in her professional journey. Usually, athletes reach this level of public scrutiny after years of championships, endorsements, or celebrity growth. Clark entered the league already carrying that spotlight from day one. That changes everything. Every slump becomes major news. Every hard foul becomes debate material. Every interview gets dissected. And apparently, every concert appearance trends online. There's also an important distinction between criticism and outrage culture. Reasonable discussion about optics, leadership, or public perception is completely normal in sports. Fans invest emotionally in teams and players. Debate is part of sports culture. But sometimes social media environments push conversations into extremes unnecessarily. A concert appearance after a loss does not automatically indicate lack of commitment. Likewise, defending Clark's right to enjoy personal time does not mean fans cannot discuss perception. Balanced analysis requires separating emotional reactions from confirmed facts. And the confirmed facts here remain relatively straightforward. Caitlin Clark attended a Wallen concert after a Fever defeat. Photos and videos circulated online. Fans reacted with mixed opinions. Everything beyond that enters interpretation. That distinction matters, especially in modern sports conversations where speculation can spread rapidly. One thing almost everyone seems to agree on, though, is that Caitlin Clark's presence continues generating enormous engagement for women's basketball. Even stories unrelated directly to gameplay become national sports discussions when her name is involved. That level of visibility brings positives and negatives. The positive side is obvious: more attention for the league, larger audiences, increased sponsorship interest, stronger television ratings, and greater mainstream conversation surrounding women's sports. The difficult side is equally obvious: non-stop scrutiny, intense polarization, and constant public analysis of nearly every action. Some athletes thrive under that environment. Others struggle with it, and most probably experience a combination of both at different moments. So far, Clark has generally handled media pressure with notable composure, especially considering the intensity surrounding her rookie season. Reports suggest teammates, coaches, and league observers have repeatedly acknowledged the unusual level of attention she faces daily. That doesn't make her immune from criticism, but it does provide context. And context matters, especially online, where reactions often move faster than careful analysis. As this story continued circulating, many fans eventually shifted toward a broader perspective. Maybe the debate itself says more about sports culture today than the concert appearance ever did. Because ultimately, this became another example of how modern athletes live under constant public observation. Not just during games. All the time. Everywhere. And for stars at Caitlin Clark's level, the line between personal life and public conversation may barely exist anymore. That reality raises an interesting long-term question for sports culture moving forward. As athletes become increasingly visible through social media and celebrity branding, will fans eventually adjust expectations around personal freedom? Or will public scrutiny only continue growing stronger? There may not be a perfect answer, but conversations like this one suggest sports fandom is evolving in real time. And Caitlin Clark currently sits at the center of many of those changes. Whether people defended her, criticized her, or simply observed the situation with curiosity, one thing became very clear from the reaction surrounding the Wallen concert appearance. Caitlin Clark has already reached a level where even ordinary moments become major national discussions. That's the reality of modern sports stardom. And it leaves one final question worth thinking about. When athletes become this famous, are fans still reacting to the actual person, or are they reacting to the symbol that person has become?